Hey folks, welcome to another episode of 5 to 15 with Musickers. My name is Jason DeCristofaro. I'm really excited about today's interview. We're here with Mikey Evans. Mikey, how are you?
Doing pretty well, Jason. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Mikey is a Renaissance man. He wears a lot of different hats. He's a wonderful percussionist who collaborates in multiple projects and has been performing and touring as a musician nationally for years. But what we're actually here to talk about today is another thing you do in the music industry. You are a significant player in Ari's Take. So, can you tell us a little bit about Ari's Take and what y'all do there?
Yeah. I work for a man named Ari Herstand. He has a published book, How to Make It in the New Music Business, podcast that's very popular, the New Music Business Podcast, and the blog, Ari's Take. That's kind of like the original entity. But everything that we do is around music business education. So, we are trying to teach artists and independent musicians how to have sustainable music careers.
That's wonderful. I think it's a greatly needed resource, especially this day and age when there's so many independent artists creating music through social media and different platforms. It's not like the old day with, okay, you sign up for a record label and then you've made it. What are some of the resources that y'all provide, some of the different opportunities and resources and things like that you provide for independent musicians in particular?
Yeah, so we do a variety of things. We release a podcast every week that with the different music industry experts around different subject matter in the music business. Sometimes around like sync licensing or royalties or AI and music and everything like that. We also have an academy as well. That is it's an online paid academy. We have 5 different courses that we're offering right now. Some that are about how to release music in this day and age, and like the streaming day and age. Sync licensing, how to get your music on TV and video games and film and such. Marketing, so growing your streaming numbers and everything. A few different course offerings that we offer to musicians, and we get a lot of songwriters, record label, people that are wanting to start labels themselves. So a variety of people in the academy.
Very cool. That sounds like a lot of different topics to cover. And I realize now, especially today in the music industry, it's changed so much, even just in the last 5 to 10 years. You've been on both sides of it, and you continue to be on both sides of it. I know you're doing more work with Ari's Take now, but especially for many years, you were regularly touring with a nationally touring band.
Mm-hmm.
So how has that experience as a nationally touring musician informed your work now with Ari's Take and helping other musicians find a way in this really rapidly changing industry?
I would say that I've always been a musician since 7 years old to a point in one capacity or another, and after college I met my bandmates, which I was in music school, music performance. Met my bandmates in the band The Fritz that we'd come to be playing 90 to 100 shows a year for 10 years. So, while we were doing that as well, a little bit about my path there was I had done some marketing work previously, some web design work before, but I really took that time like in the van and different off time as well to just like level up my skills in marketing and graphic design and all. And granted too, all these things were like required things because for a period of time I was managing the band and booking the band at one point before we got national representation. So I learned a lot of different skills and ways to grow the bands, and eventually this opportunity came around, and it was really like the meshing of my worlds. I was freelancing doing marketing work for businesses around the country, and I'm a musician and I'm incredibly passionate about the business side of music and getting people just having fighting chance to get your music out there.
That's wonderful. I mean, it sounds cool. You had this opportunity when you were with the Fritz where you had to wear two different hats
Yeah.
all the time. So I guess you developed these skills just kind of organically, learning on the job over the years, which there's no substitute for that real life, real world experience. What are some of the things that you learned, especially during these years with the Fritz where you were booking and handling that side of it? What were some things you learned about booking a band that's nationally touring?
As far as booking, a thing that I always look to is that if you're booking a band or your own band or another band, you will be sending a lot of emails out to people now. And you need to realize too that the person that's on the other end of that email, they're probably getting 100 emails a week, a day sometimes, at different venues. And so you need to be respectful of their time and ways to like get attention that way, really, because if you make it easy for someone to book the band or be a part of the organization, if you make it easy for them to do it, then they're going to be more likely to book you as a band. So short, simple, concise emails, with like the dates that you want, your history of the city, other bands, say perhaps you've already reached out to a few other bands to book a show together, some that are like perhaps some local bands in there as well. So at the end of the day, a venue is taking a risk on you, and if they are gonna risk having no one show up to the show, they're gonna be losing a lot of money, and like week after day after day after day after day, they can't do that, so if they come in and know a show is going to happen where it has some guaranteed tickets and all that, then they're going to be more likely to bite around it.
Thank you. That's great. So that's the performance side of it, right? That's like kind of what a lot of people think about when they think about the career of a musician. Like you go out and you play shows. But it's a different time now, especially post-COVID, with social media, YouTube, all these different opportunities. You mentioned earlier in our interview here about licensing and all that kind of stuff. What are some other, especially for younger musicians who are maybe in music school right now and thinking about having a career as a performer, what are some other avenues they should think about exploring, and what are some strategies, I guess just some quick strategies, I mean you can't summarize it obviously, but just some things they should think about starting out outside of the live performance realm?
Yeah, outside of the live performance realm, I would say getting your visual, your brand together. So, you're as a musician, you're putting out a piece of work, and so behind that, not only is there now the music, but there's the visual aspect to it as well. It's like I've been learning a lot and been doing a lot of work in like vertical content, vertical video content. How can you chop a song up in certain video lengths of like 15 seconds, 30 seconds and all that, and make it engaging for someone to want to check out your music more. So that's something that I think a lot of musicians don't look to, but the fact is like we are like very visual. We're humans, we're very visual creatures, and we're gonna like, we're not just gonna listen to the music, but it's gonna like see what is all around it, like visually too, so brand wise.
Absolutely. Before we go, what's the biggest thing you've seen change in the industry? And when I mean the industry, just the music industry as a whole, since you began performing more than a decade ago to today?
The biggest thing I've seen change is just how far it's slanted now to being like online, and how people get information and how people hear music. We're no longer in like a CD's world. Vinyl records are making a comeback, which is really exciting, but for the most part, it's I feel like we've become less of like an album culture of like I'm gonna listen to an album, and it's become more of like a playlist culture or like a singles culture when releasing music. Um, it's not that there's one or the other that's better per se. In this way, though, I've seen it change where how artists release albums nowadays has changed a lot, so that it's no longer just like single and then I'm putting out the entire album. Perhaps now it's like I'm putting out a single, a single, a single, a single, and another single, and then I'm gonna release the whole album that way. It catches on like with the algorithms more, with the streaming platforms and everything, and those are the strategies that major labels are using now, and anybody who's like really paying attention to it is like focused on that. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Ari's Take, for those of you, as we've heard a little bit about it, wonderful resource. How can folks learn more about Ari's Take? Where can they find out more about that?
yeah, you can go to aristake.com, ARISTAKE, and also search for the New Music Business Podcast on anywhere you listen to podcasts. aristakeacademy.com for the academy.
Awesome. Hey, Mikey, thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Likewise. Have a great one, y'all.